land has been removed from many of our homes. So the Arabs recognized this very early on. And if you don't know, they conducted the Arab slave trade inside of East Africa. Okay. So we all know the transatlantic slave trade. That's the one that most people talk about. But we don't know that there was a slave trade, many of us, before the transatlantic slave trade. It's actually a very important slave trade because the Arab slave trade actually inspired so many of the things inside of the transatlantic slave trade. This transatlantic slave trade would not have happened if it were not for the Arab slave trade. Now, we don't know the numbers of the Arab slave trade. They weren't just as much as the transatlantic, but it was still a significant amount of Africans being taken out of particularly Eastern Africa. Now, we know, if you follow this channel, you know already that the true land of Yasharel is not that place in Palestine. It's actually inside of East Africa, the Ethiopia, Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti. That is the region that was biblical Yasharel. If you do not know that, I have a documentary, Israel Uncovered. Please click the link. I'm going to post it below and also post it here, post a tag here. Watch the documentary. Do not debate this on this video. Debate it over there by all means. I'm fine with debate, but let's not derail one conversation and try to bring it over into a different subject. But if you are not aware, if you have not watched that documentary, definitely watch it, because I believe it's like not even a debate, but some people will watch the documentary and still want to debate things, and that's fine. So that is actually where the East African slave trade, the Arab slave trade, happened, inside of East Africa. Oh, what a coincidence that the literal place where Yasharel was, that was the place where the first international slave trade of its kind happened. What a coincidence also that the people who were the primary target of the Arab slave trade are people who I proved inside of my book. My book is Conspiracy to Erase a Nation, available on Amazon. If you're not able to afford it, you can send an email to africanexodus@gmail.com explaining that you're not able to afford it, and I will send you a free copy. But as I break down and prove inside of my book, the Oromo people, as far as the different tribes inside of Ethiopia, that is one of the tribes that is actually Hebrew. Okay? Don't debate that here because it's not the subject of this video. I do have a video on it, though, and I will post it down below as well. So these are the people who become the targets of the Arab slave trade. Particularly Oromo women were sought after by the Arabs. They wanted them to be concubines. The interesting thing that was different from the Arab slave trade, from the West African slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, is that the men were pretty much always castrated. They castrated the men.